Hello world, it's Curtis Potter with Boundless Inspiration. So I'm sitting here in front of a painting that I'm doing. Obviously it's not complete. And I've been working on it for a minute. It's one of those things where just whenever I feel like drawing, painting, doing whatever, I put some work into it. But it's not one of my top goals. So, something that I haven't completed. And I'll tell you, it still needs some work. I'm working on putting in the details and so forth. So it's not far from being done. But I'll tell you, this painting, it has a lot of layers on it. Like if you actually felt the paint, it's almost three-dimensional at this point because of how many layers that I've put on it. And the reason is because I'm not exactly the most amazing artist. It is starting to come together. And that's what I want to talk to you about today is failures. Ooh, right? Like failures, when you hear that word and it likely can send you into a place where you're like, you instantly think of some of your failures, right? Ooh, that's a tough spot for some. For some. It's all about a mindset and how you perceive something, right? I say a lot of times it's all about your lenses and how you're looking at it. Because you could tell yourself whatever story you want, but that does not make it true, right? It just makes it your story. And see, some people get so shackled with failures that it robs them of life, right? So like, for instance, Thomas Edison, people criticized him for all of his failures. And he said, it's not that I failed ever. It said I found thousands of ways that did not work, right? It's not a failure when you do not succeed at something. You're just finding a way that did not work. And if you're persistent and refuse to quit, then you eventually will find a way that works, right? For instance, Walt Disney. I love the story. Everyone knows of Disney World, right? It's one of the most sought out places to vacation. Orlando, Florida is the #1 vacation spot in the United States. And one of the biggest reasons is Disney World, right? And see, Walt Disney failed multiple times at creating Disney. He was robbed of his, somebody stole his ideas. He went through a bankruptcy, literally had to file bankruptcy. And then in the midst of the Great Depression, he made like $20 million because of being successful with Mickey Mouse. In the middle of the Great Depression, going from bankruptcy to one of the richest people in the midst of Great Depression, right? So it doesn't matter what you're going through or what time you're going through it. We're in a depression right now and it's only going to get worse. People are predicting it's about to crash hard. So I urge you to prepare yourself and also keep moving forward towards your dreams and goals, and don't let just a hard time stop you. Because see, fear is false evidence appearing real. And when you think of failure as a bad thing, it's going to prevent you from moving forward. Instead, I urge you to face everything and rise. Let those failures push you to rising, to excellence, to accomplishing whatever you want to do in life. And I want to ask you this question. I was asked this question a long time ago, and it was someone that was talking to me about boundless inspiration and my calling in life. And this lady said to me, she said, Curtis, how many lives will suffer if you do not walk in your calling? If you do not take your calling to its full potential? If you keep having stage fright and allowing that to be an excuse, if you keep allowing those excuses of, well, people are doubting me. They're telling me that I want it for the limelight or the popularity or to be heard or any of those reasons, those stories in their head that I almost adopted. And at times I did. I started to believe them. I'm like, what if they're right? Like, am I doing that? Why am I questioned myself. I started to have fear. Those stories that they put in my head started to become bigger to where I started to believe them. And for what? I've had 14 people tell me that I helped them not commit suicide. 14 people's lives. And then the lives that are affected by them still being alive. So like it affected so many more people than just those 14 people. Their friends, their family, the people that love them. The people that they're going to talk to in their lives and say, man, I almost committed suicide. And then I ran into this random dude. Talk to me for no reason. Or I just saw this random video years and years and years and years ago. I was having suicidal thoughts. This was before I even started making YouTube videos. And I started at right about 7 years ago making my YouTube videos. So this had to have been over 10 years ago. You know, I was 26. At that point, I was struggling. You know, I was causing a lot of stress and turmoil in my own life. I wasn't taking ownership. I was living in that victim mentality. And I was having these suicidal thoughts that had popped back up from my childhood. I almost committed suicide at 16 years old. So for 10 years after not committing suicide, I still struggled with those thoughts. And it wasn't until I heard Eric Thomas where I said, I have a calling on my life. He saved my life, and I valued what he did. Words can change somebody's life. And I started down this path. And when she said how many lives would be affected if I did not walk in my calling, if I did not try to take it to my full potential, it's not just those millions of lives that I could affect, but it's the millions and billions of lives that could be affected by the lives that I affect, right? This is way bigger than you. Like the ocean. It's massive. It's beyond your wildest dreams. Think about Walt Disney. He never got to see his Disney World finished. But look at it. It's a multi-billion-dollar company that's changing lives. Today, I invite you not to say, you know what, I'm going to let this fear trap me. False evidence appearing real. These stories in my head and other people's head who's putting that on me, and somehow I'm picking it up and accepting it. Instead, I invite you to face everything and rise, because failures, they teach you valuable lessons. They make you stronger. I don't know about you, but when you failed, like, it sucks enough to push you to success, right? So failures bring lessons. They bring strength. They bring success. They bring out areas in your life where you also need to change. And if you do, if failure sucks and it hurts, then don't fail at that again. Learn your lesson. Prepare for the next time. Yes, when Walt Disney filed bankruptcy, he was like, what do I have to do differently this time? passed away multimillionaire. So what do I do differently? And failures bring out strengths, areas where you didn't even realize that you were amazing at. And you're like, wait a minute, look what I accomplished in the midst of my failure, because it pushed you harder to where it brought out your full potential. I invite you to look at failure differently today. Invite it. That way it won't shackle you and prevent you and say, you know what, I failed. Thank you, because now I'm moving forward in life. I love you all. I hope this helped. Put in the comment section where you failed, but you kept trying and now you're super successful. Let's hear those success stories. Like, share, comment, tag, follow, subscribe. You know the drill. Because every single day, we're all taking a step closer to being boundless. And that's how your circle can hear these videos and become boundless as well. I love you all. Have a great day. And you know the drill. Be boundless.